Hi, Joel Martin from HFS. I'm the executive research leader in charge of our telco sector research. And recently, my team and I published our Telco Services 2025 Horizon. We looked at over 20 different IT services vendors, and we examined how they fit into a value chain that's driving value, helping telcos basically navigate a changing environment through acquisitions, divestitures, and new partnerships. We questioned and talked to clients on the telco space, partners that are working with these IT services and advisory firms on how they're delivering solutions to understand how they're co-creating, co-innovating, and delivering solutions from core BSS and OSS all the way through to cutting edge wireless and fixed line and 5G solutions, delivering business to business advantages for telcos and their customers, both in their national markets as well as globally. Going through the research, we ended up with just a handful of market leaders, and one of those was EY. EY really impressed me on their ability to cut through the noise, really move quickly, and help telcos understand the advantages from everything from rationalizing their applications through the latest in AI. And joining me today is Cedric Foray, head of EY's global telco sector. And Cedric, it's great to see you again. Very excited about what EY is doing. And maybe you could introduce yourself a little bit and talk a little bit about what EY is doing and how your sector-oriented organization model differentiates its approach when it's going to market.
Yeah, thank you, Joel, for having me on this call discussing about what EY is doing in telecom. So, as you know, EY is a global firm, 400,000 people. But in telecom, in fact, as EY, we put in place a new sector organization recently. And it's really echo to what our clients are expecting. When we ask our client, 95% of our clients are sharing with us that deep sector expertise is really important for their success. And when we look at telecom, they do have some very specific issue around network architecture transformation, managing their legacy IT, how to replace their OSS, BSS, integrating AI, Gen AI at scale, reigniting their growth, how to grab new growth, addressing their talent gap. We know it's critical in the technology space, but it's also very critical in telecom. EY is really recognized as a large scale transformation player, really able to understand the business needs, but also the specific telecom processes of our client. And we are able to orchestrate to find the appropriate solution to really answer to their needs. And definitely, as EY, we are also connected with the C-suite. And in this major transformation, a lot of decisions are made by the C-suite. That's how we can also leverage our connection. Our approach is really based on deep sector expertise. We understand what's going on in the telecom sector. We have comprehensive offering, and we are able to do projects all around the value chain, really from marketing, strategic until the IT and network domain. We have this end-to-end approach, and I think we could discuss that later on about what we are doing in terms of strategy. We give access to top talent to our clients. We are able to recruit the top client in our different countries. And finally, we are also focused on value realization.
I mean, I've been following the telco market since I started as an analyst back in the 90s. And one thing that's always been there has been constant change in the telco sector. So change and transformation has been a constant. Now, the challenge that we're seeing right now, or the unknown really, is speed. Can you elaborate a little bit more on how EY is doing that and what your priorities or what your passions, or maybe even some examples from your customers about how you're addressing change at the speed they need it?
No, I think, Joel, you are totally right. It's really a question of speed and putting also getting the emerging technology at scale, really in use by all their employees and to put it at scale in their organization. And really today the main challenge is how to integrate AI, Gen AI, agentic AI at scale into the organization to get innovation, okay, but also to get some more efficiency. And the point is there is a technical part, technical aspect, how to make it into their complex architecture, their complex legacy system, and you know it also very well. But it's also how we make this new technology used by their customer representative, by their employees. So there is a lot of change management to be done around this technology, and it has to be simple at the end. And it has, so as you said, it's not only adding new technology, which was maybe their decision the last year, but it's how to build a new architecture, and on top of that, to be able to really leverage this new technology to bring additional services to their client, but also to their employee. And that's really the challenge. And when you ask, for example, we are very proud, for instance, during MWC 25 in Barcelona, we team up with NVIDIA to showcase a really concrete example of agentic AI for telco. We chose the network space, the contract, the network contract. We call our solution contract intelligence. It's part of a range of solutions called EY.AI telecom agent. Our client need to have a clear view of their contract, but it's how to really leverage all the value, all the content of your contract to be more efficient in terms of crisis management, in terms of negotiation with your supplier. And in fact, it really helps to operate between your finance team, your legal team, your technical team. And our clients do not have 10, 100 of contract. They have thousands of contract, amendment, and so on. So it's really complex, and it saves them a lot of time. Another example is what we are doing with Microsoft. It's in that case, it's more on customer care, field management, which is sometimes very difficult to operate in the telecom space, and are really critical to improve the customer experience of our client. And we are working with Microsoft. Why? Because we are able to integrate their technology into some existing landscape of our client. We know very well the business processes on top of that. And we are also running all the change management on top of this technology. I found it very interesting, the progress we can make, and the speed then we can get to really scale our solution through the whole customer care, through the whole technician group. So to be successful in doing this transformation at scale, we need to have a good understanding of the ecosystem. What are the technology available? And we cannot only make the choice of one LLM. We need to have very often several LLM to be very appropriate and accurate to the use case. We need to understand the business process, because in a lot of projects we have to adapt, we have to change this business process, and sometimes change the operating model to really get to concrete outcome for our client. And when I discuss about the customer care, so it's not only making saving, it's also improving customer experience, which is really, really interesting.
One of the things that really impressed me was your approach to AI, and you touched on it briefly with your partnership to NVIDIA and Microsoft. But can you tell me exactly the AI frameworks that EY is bringing to the telco sector?
Our offering, which is called EY.AI telecom agent. The idea is to have a group of agents in different fields. The priority will be around network, customer care, field operation, and we are also deploying some agent on some back office functions, such as finance, risk, tax. I think when Jensen on stage was speaking about their tax agent, these tax agents were co-built with some EY people. So we want to have this set of agents, and to offer also to our clients the orchestration of these agents, which is now the critical things to work on. And when we develop this agent, we are ready to bring some deep knowledge of the function, deep knowledge of the industry, to really make them accurate for what we want them to deliver. And that's really the challenge we are working at the moment.
So how is EY strategic consulting, a core part of what you bring, really influence or allow you to influence corporate strategy development and the operating model transformation that really needs to happen for AI and other emerging tools, partnerships, co-innovation to take place? What is EY doing to help your customers refresh their strategies effectively for the long term?
That's an important topic. Maybe you heard recently we did announce that we integrate all our strategy and transaction capability under the EY Partner brand, which is now one of the main player in terms of strategy. As I said earlier, when we are speaking about this big transformation, the decision is always taken in the boardroom almost by the CEO, and not only because of the investment, also because it's strategic decision to go with a technology player to go in such direction. And with EY Partner, we are really able to work on the corporate strategy of our client, assessing new market opportunities. And you know it, in telecom, these new market opportunities are very connected with technical aspect. When we discuss about network API, you need to understand telecom to really understand what will be the market behind. We are also working in their transformation of their operating model. And for that, you need also to understand what will be the technical landscape. As I said earlier, it's critical in the transformation or the adoption of new technology. I sometimes I get the feedback from some of my clients that they stop one project around Gen AI or even one solution around Gen AI. The issue is more the change management, the training. I think we all have our personal experience of using Copilot, for instance. And finally, what we help our client to do with EY Partner is really integrating this new technology in their operation and setting also the right partnership.
Cedric, this has been a fantastic conversation. To recap, you guys are one of our market leaders. And it's exactly because your sector approach allows you to identify and deliver value, both technical and business led, with your customers. You have a great ecosystem. You're partnering from IBM to Microsoft to NVIDIA, as well as a slew of others to ensure that you're basically at the forefront of some of these aggressive changes in technologies. We've focused on AI, but there's so many others that you're helping your telcos understand how that's going to impact their business and how they deliver services for the long term. And then, of course, the strategic consulting, understanding what are the business outcomes, helping your customers understand what is the horizon for those and how do they invest now to be ready for that future state. And what kind of investments and divestitures do they need to consider to further optimize and drive the outcomes that are important to their business? Cedric, this is why you guys are a market leader in our telco services horizon. And I'm so glad to spend this time with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Joel.